afternoon, everyone. Miss Newald, I see you way in the back. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Wonderful. Tim? Perfect. Karen? All right. Getting the whole back row there. Well, good afternoon, everyone. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Thank you all for coming. Before we get started today, if you could please, as a reminder, take out your cell phones and either turn them off, put them on silent, whatever you can do to be respectful to our presenter today, who is one of your neighbors, Terri Sundbeg. I remember when I first started at East Castle, vividly talking to Terri about her trip to Croatia, because I had just gotten back from Croatia, and then, her trip to the Northwest Passage, and then her other trips, and I'm sure some of you have heard about this trip already, and for those who haven't, you're in for a treat. Terri traveled to several countries on a 2 months? 1 month trip, and hit every continent, correct?
No.
Almost every continent.
Europe, Asia, Middle East.
Perfect.
And then Africa.
Wonderful. So she's going to tell us about that trip, and we're very excited to have her. And for any of you who take trips and want to do a presentation, I know in talking to the lifestyle committees, these are personally my favorite presentations to have you all witness. So if any of you are interested in sharing your stories, please let us know. So with that, I'll pass it to Terri.
Thank you, Evan, very much. Okay. Last year I was fortunate to take 2 around-the-world trips. This one was called Around the World, but it really didn't go around the world as I just said. And we only went to Europe, Africa, Middle East, and Asia. We had to get ourselves to Lisbon, Portugal, to start this trip. And they were trying to fill the jet. And so they were offering a free cruise on Crystal Cruise from Barcelona to Lisbon. And I had sailed with them before, and I thought, oh, that's a great opportunity. I'll take advantage of that. And about half of the people on this tour did, but it didn't work. They didn't fill up the jet at all. And it was only 22 of us, which really holds 50 passengers in first class. And so it was a disappointment for them, but really nice for us to have all a small group to travel with like that. Although they handle a big group really well. My first trip with them was a full group. So, I guess we can go to the next one. We did. So we landed in Lisbon on the day the jet trip began, which was October 4th. And when we got to our hotel, we stopped at the A&K hospitality desk, and that's who I traveled with on this trip, Abercrombie and Kent, to pick up our luggage tags, our travel badge. We had to wear whenever we were on the jet because they didn't want to lose us in the airport. And Lisbon schedule, we got all of our schedules when we were on the plane except for Lisbon. We had to pick that up at the hospitality desk. And then we got to meet the A&K staff traveling with us. And since we were half the group, we only had half the staff. So normally we had at least 8 or 9 people of A&K traveling with us. This time it was only 4, which was nice for us too. We really got to know the staff real well, and they got to know us also. We had a little time to freshen up before going down to the welcome party, where we would meet fellow travelers, and all of them were new to me. There wasn't anyone on this trip that I had traveled with before. In the morning, we boarded vintage cars to tour Lisbon, stopping at Miradouro Nossa Senhora do Monte for a panoramic hilltop view. Then a stop for lunch at Surgevaria, Trinidad. And I can't tell you what all we had. I know we had soup, we had some entree besides all the charcuterie there. I do have menus up here if you want to look at them afterwards. I know people are always interested in what did you eat, where you were. After lunch, a private tour of the palace of the Marquesas of the Frontera. They brought us to the history part of the tour. This is supposed to be a historical tour, so we have to get in a little history along the way. The palace was built in the 17th century as a hunting lodge and summer retreat. It has been privately owned and occupied to this day. 2 floors elegantly furnished with the first floor public rooms displaying an azuelo tile work depicting Portuguese victories over the Castellanos. The Marquesas were substantial patrons of the kings. With wealth and strong political power, they could have tiles made and installed with designs contrary to the religious standards of the day, such as the terrace of liberal arts that spills through the doors. And then they also had a lot of mythical characters that would not normally be used during that period either. The farewell dinner at Senor Minho with entertainment of fado music. I don't know if you know fado music. It was not my cup of tea. It's supposed to be very sad. Lots of lost love, whatever, but it was all in Portuguese, so I didn't understand it anyhow. The man by the flowers there is the maintenance technician on our plane. He passes out the bread at meal times also. He has 2 jobs. And the group to the left consists of the first officer, Elizabeth, and next to her is the lead captain. And then we have the senior captain crew member and a captain and a cabin crew member also next to her, and then the captain. So those 3 of those are responsible for flying the plane. The others just take care. Well, I guess you would say the maintenance guy's pretty responsible too. Champagne is always at the ready. The minute you get on the plane, you get a glass of champagne if you want it, and orange juice, and I mix the 2 together. So very good. Our luxury vehicle. Oh, we're leaving Portugal. Okay. Our luxury vehicle.
Are you Moroccan now?
Yeah, I'm in Morocco. Okay. Oh, I guess I didn't say anything about what you saw there before was the every first flight you're on with A&K is caviar. Your brain doesn't always pull up all the words I want. Caviar with all the trimmings, and of course a little vodka, I guess, from it. This plane is actually a Icelandic airplane and Icelandic crew, so that's why I'm not using their names. They're really, really difficult to pronounce. So I just call them the captain and first mate and whatever. That's what they are. But so that was very nice to start out with the bellinis and the caviar. And it was just a short flight, just an hour and a quarter from Lisbon to Fez, Morocco. So that's all we had time to eat on that plane. Lost my place here. Our luxury vehicle was a Mercedes-Benz when we got to Fez. And with this supple interior. And it picked us up at the airport, and then it took us to all our various destinations, except for one that was a longer hour-and-a-half trip. We did have to take a bus there. And then our tour started right away with the 17th century Dannon Synagogue, and also the former Jewish quarter, and the Royal Palace gates, which you can see there. That's the Torah at the synagogue. And then there was
Come up the
okay,
stairs.
this is, I could let you see my apartment here. I'd never asked for an upgrade, but I certainly have one.
And into my door, to the vestibule, which is very nicely furnished. And I can go straight into my living room. Beautiful arch, beautiful ceiling, beautiful tiles, beautiful rug, a window here, and a sitting area here in my living room, TV, little coffee station, in the morning with a refrigerator down below, a TV, and beautiful tile work all around. And then I have a little lounging area with a pretty little window. But the sun comes in early in the morning. Beautiful plasterwork all the way around the top. Artwork on the wall. And I'll back out of there. And I'm back in my living room with the TV. And there's the lovely arch that goes into the lounging area. And here's the beautiful ceiling. Beautiful ceiling. My living room. And then I'm going to go through the arch and back into the vestibule. Window to my bedroom. Doors to my bedroom. Huge doors, like French doors. The French ran Morocco for a while. I have big doors that go into the bedroom, and I have a little powder room out here. Like I'm going to have guests if they need to come and visit me. And another window to my bedroom. And here's my bedroom with the beautiful arch, again another arch in the Moroccan style. Beautiful tile floors, tiled walls, plaster work, little night table, plaster work, beautiful king-size bed, artwork on the wall that's lighted. I have a desk in here and my closet with plaster work and a beautiful arch into the closet. Suitcases and clothing, and then I go past the desk into the main bathroom. Again, beautiful arches, wooden arches that I enter with beautiful tile work on the floor. My bathroom, my toilet room with a bidet, and then I have just marble tile as a surround in the bathtub. And then I have a lovely vanity. Again, lovely architecture. And finally a shower with robes ready to put on. That's a tour of my lovely apartment. And come up the stairs.
How long were you there, Terri?
In that apartment, just 2 days. Just 2 days with them otherwise. Yeah, I didn't even get to enjoy it.
What was the barn-like structure in the picture? Like a, I don't know what it was.
Oh, like a coffee urn or something. That's probably what it was. I don't know what it was either. Yeah.
So, Terry, did everyone have their own apartment?
Yes, yeah. Most of them are pretty nice hotel rooms, but that one was a little outstanding, I thought. And I had a couple like that, yeah.
This was a palace?
No, this was the hotel.
It was a hotel?
Maybe it was a palace at one time, I don't know. Because the rooms were all over the place. I mean, there was somebody down below me. I had to go up the stairs, but there was only one apartment below me. Most of them were back in the main hotel. So I had to walk a little ways, but it was worth it.
What city was that in?
That was in Fez. Okay, yeah. And we had a foreign correspondent traveling with us, Martin Cohn, and he talked periodically, he presented conversations about Iba Batuta and also the Portuguese who traveled our route. Iba Batuta was a Moroccan who traveled all the way to China, actually, in about, I think it took him 30 years. I think he did about 3 Hajjs on the way, back and forth. And he traveled, I mean, he didn't have modern conveniences like we did. It was pretty rough. Foot, camel, donkeys, however he could get going. The evening dinner with musicians that night. We had tagine dishes with choice of chicken or lamb with eggplant. And all kinds of other accompaniments. You think you've gotten the first course, and then they bring out more and more and more. And finally you say, stop. And all of our meals here at this place were on the rooftop, which was nice. We could see the sunrise or the sunset. It was beautiful. The next day we visited the Medina and saw many cats because the Muslims prefer cats over dogs because dogs bark and scare away the angels. The Medina is full of narrow alleyways and shops and wonderful items. The shops full of preserves and olive oil, nuts and dates. The cats hang out by the fish market. Wool dyers selling skeins of wool. Brass and baskets and all crafts possible. They don't have a directory, so I think you have to know where you want to shop when you go to Medina, because it's really spread out. An interior shop that we went to was filled with rugs, where they served us herbal tea, and we could shop leisurely for whatever rug we wanted. I wanted all of them, but I didn't buy a single one. Their dye vats were lambskins, and then the finished product at the end. It was in the shop nearby. I can't pronounce it, but Elfekura pottery. Some of us had a chance to play with the clay, which that was a lot of fun. I think about 4 of us had a chance to work on the wheel. And they threw our pots right back in the clay pot and made something really worthwhile with it. Oops, did you skip one again?
No?
No? Okay.
Which one's supposed to be next?
Okay. This is, they use these big hammers. They hammer away these intricate designs. You see him holding the design down in his hand there where they fit together. And and they lay these designs down, upside down, to make their design of their tabletops or their fountains or whatever. It's really incredible that they can figure out how to do that. They come out beautiful. Then they put the, backing on and well, the grout, the grout on the back, and then they finish it off with the backing. This is one of the fountains. There, this is the one I was looking for, a vase. On the left, it's been glazed, and then the design has been chipped away on it. So the other ladies are just glazing the designs for other plates and other artifacts that they sell. This was a day trip out to Volubilis, a Roman city, about an hour and a half from Fez. It was buried under the sand until the French began excavating it, and discovered very well preserved mosaic tiles and columns and capitals. It was pretty amazing. On the way to Volubilis, I was fascinated with the variety of street lights in the towns. We went through quite a few little towns. They all were similar, but yet they were all different, very Moroccan style with filigree, whatever. Our farewell dinner that night was at a private home with entertainment. And the lady almost did almost a rolling dervish dance. I mean, it wasn't a whole rolling, it wasn't supposed to be the ceremony, but she just went around and around and around for a long time. And the Declaration of Independence from France was signed there in 1956 in this home. And that's the famous pen that signed the Declaration. Our itinerary for each country told us when to have our luggage ready inside our room for pickup, when breakfast would be served, when to meet in the lobby. We never had to touch our luggage. It was picked up at our hotel, in our room, and then we found it in our room at the next hotel we were at. So we still had to go through immigration, though. You still had to go through all the security checkpoints and all of that, but we didn't have to haul our luggage around with us when we did. Except for our carry-ons, of course. The flight from Fez to Zanzibar was about 8.5 hours. Airline food. This meal was beetroot, goat cheese, and almond salad. And then we had a choice of Moroccan lamb tagine, or seared sea bass, or a vegetarian meal. I have the sea bass. And dessert was a sticky toffee apple pudding. It was delicious. Or we always had the choice of having a choice of fruit or cheeses on the plane for dessert if you didn't want something fattening. This was the view from my hotel window. Not quite as luxurious as the last one, but it was very adequate and a lovely view. This is the cathedral where Dr. Livingston preached abolishing slavery. He was pretty influential in getting the slavery stopped in Zanzibar. The slave movement monument was quite moving, and the slave exhibit was quite extensive also. Very very sobering. Actually, the Omanis had a great deal to do with the slave trade, but we never heard about that when we were in Oman, but definitely heard about it a lot of other places. The doors of Stone Town were very interesting. Some were Arabic and other Indian with the spikes. But, all the doors in the city really had very interesting. And then the old Arabian fort from the 17th century. A more modern artifact, Freddie Mercury from the group Queen, was born and raised here in Stone Town. I don't know if you're all too old for Freddie Mercury or not. I think I am. Muslims love their cats, as I said, and Africans love the colorful fabrics in their shops. Lunch on the rooftop of a nearby hotel presented us with very creative dessert, and our A&K travel companions enjoyed the outing as well. In the afternoon, we traveled to Zurich, an hour and a half away to our next hotel in Zanzibar. My lodge with its outdoor shower, and we had an indoor shower too, but outdoor was a lot more fun. What you help a child to love can be more important than what you help him to learn. And that's, I don't know if you can read the African proverb on the left, but and then the one on the right is a lot easier to read. And the snails and lizards are as big as your feet. And yeah, I was able to walk around. I had a little time to walk around there and visit their gardens and whatnot. So that was nice. The next morning we visited a typical village. Not pristine, but friendly and welcoming. The pile of coconut husks are useful, and they are safe. They use them for all kinds of things. Especially the husk part is, they start their fires with it and do a lot of cooking with them. They showed us how cassava is grown and what it looks like, and then they let us taste the raw cassava. Not as tasty as a raw potato, if you like raw potatoes, I do, but a little more dry. We visited the preschool in the village where the children sang and danced for us and taught us very good. Always understand what they're saying, but it is English. And the teachers were so enthusiastic and delightful. In a village house at one of the A&K staff, we met his grandfather, grandmother, and mother. The grandfather was making rope from the coconut fiber, and the grandmother was weaving coconut fronds into mats and baskets. And some of the other ladies were sitting there too doing this. They use everything. They don't waste anything. And then they showed us how they break down the grain husk and winnow it and then grind it into flour. And bake their bread with it. The gentleman in the center of the group is the mayor of this village and other nearby villages. So they probably have the whole county, if that's what they have there. At the shipyard, everything is done by hand with primitive tools, no electricity. So they use the adze to cut out their design to fit together, and then hand-driven drills. Where the shipbuilders live on the edge of the village, they eat, cook, and have minimal lodging. Next door was the fish market where eel and all sorts of fish were auctioned off. Our farewell dinner on the beach with entertainment by the Maasai warriors. With a bonus show, fire show. I said goodbye to Wilfred, who I have been on 3 different A&K trips with. He's the guy in the upper right-hand corner. Every time we return to our jet, our crew is always dressed in the attire of the country that we left. And to break up the monotony of the recitation of the safety protocol, this time they had a guest, one of the guests, Jan, recite the protocol for the flight attendants to follow. And champagne is always at the ready when we board. From Zanzibar to Amman, the flight was 4.25 hours. Oman greeted us with a sand painting, welcoming us to the hotel and also to our rooms. Oh, I didn't narrate this one, but this is my hotel room with a big patio. You go through a gate. You can see in the upper corner there. And then you have your own pool and your own huge living room. I could have 20 people over, I think, at this place. And then it's all set up for watching TV or videos. And in the back, there's almost a full kitchen, it seems like. And then the welcoming cake, the welcoming coco frio fruit. And I enjoyed that for the 2 days. Ate everything, I think. You have your coffee maker and your even a sink there with your refrigerator and all. Then a little back patio also. Bedroom, put the pool outside, decorate the bed with a few leaves, free hat. In most Muslim countries, they put in one drawer, they'll put the direction where the Hajj is, where Mecca is, so you can pray in the right direction. Bathroom, nice large bathroom with its own toilet room, drying stand, a I use that in the other place where I got all wet trying to figure out how to wash my undies and tie them up and got stuck in the shower. And we even have access to the pool from the bathroom too, so. Never got to get in it at all, too short of a time. In the morning, we picked up our headscarves to visit Sultan of Qaboos's Grand Mosque. It was built in 2016. I had been in Oman in 2001, but this in Salalah, actually. And this wasn't there then, and I think most of the city has been rebuilt since I was there in 2001. Beautiful. It's an interesting clock. Some of the numbers look just like the clock in the back room, but some of them don't, so I don't know exactly what they stand for. Ablution areas where they wash up before they do their service. From there, we spent an hour at the Al-Balid Museum, showcasing Oman's rich maritime history and archaeological heritage. And from there, we traveled to Wadi Dwaka, a UNESCO-listed reserve of frankincense trees. And then after learning about how frankincense was harvested, and I forgot to bring my frankincense down. I'll send Anita for it later. We sat down to lunch at a private tented seat setting. We're right out in the middle of the sand, you can see. We're right out in the middle of the sand, as you can see. A few of us went on a brief shopping trip before going back to the hotel and asked if we could stop to get a closer look at the camels, so we got really close. That's the little shop we went into. Well, there's several there, several of them. For our farewell dinner party that night, there was another beach gathering with Omani musicians and dancers. And I also got to put my feet in the Arabian Ocean. And they did us a farewell also in sand. Okay, I think we're nearing the end here. I've been trying to test this out to see if I could get it done in an hour, and I think we're going to make it. Yeah. This hotel was on an island that it occupied the whole island, actually. And we needed a boat to get back and forth. So we had to put on our life preservers every time we went back and forth. And it was just a little 10-minute boat ride. And then we had to take a bus, which is another 15, 20 minutes to get off the grounds. Because they own the little hotel across the way, sort of an addendum to the main hotel. My apartment was on the lower right there, and I looked out onto the water and also a little peninsula out there. So that's a very, very pleasant view. And then the little parrots were always on your balcony too, so they were a little morning sunshine. And then we had a long city palace tour that morning. The city palace served for over 400 years all the Maharana, and each one made their own contribution, so it was really immense, and many stairs up and many stairs down, and lots of narrow passageways to get from one place to the other. It had never been invaded because I don't think anybody could find their way in or out. And then the tram took us to the entrance way, so we didn't have to walk so far. That was interesting, all those columns there. They each had a different style to their all, each individually made, it looked like to me. I had a little rest there sitting there so I could just sort of study the columns. And just some views inside and from palace windows. In the evening, they helped us don our saris, and the men did not need help with their pajamas and kurtas. They could put those on themselves, but the saris were a little more tricky. Use a lot of safety pins. After dressing, we joined the Atari ceremony, which was very lovely. Then traveled in golf carts to the Bollywood show and dinner. Our MC for the evening, magician, and our dance instructor. The A&K, that was a lot of fun. The A&K staff was fully into it. Lynn, and left to right was Lynn, our tour manager, our photographer and luggage manager, Dave, our tour director and tour manager, Richard, and our tour doctor, Christy. The doctor travels with us all the time. The next day we visited one of the ancient Naga temples with its rich carvings and decorations built in the 10th century. We also visited the Ekling Temple. It was a large active Hindu temple complex dedicated to Lord Shiva, but we could not take any pictures there. Dave, as he usually looked, burdened down with cameras and case and a couple of his pictures taken at the hotel. Farewell party was at another hotel garden with a tremendous sax player who made everyone happy. Back at the jet, I won the lottery for takeoff and landing, where I could be in the cockpit and listen to the control tower. Sorry I couldn't let you listen to the control tower, but that was pretty cool. Meanwhile, the cabin guest replaced the flight crew in demonstrating the safety aspects of the equipment used by the passengers. Some of them didn't know that you were only supposed to pretend to pull on those tags. And that's the end of part 1. If I can do it, I will do part 2 in the future, which was the rest of the trip to Cambodia, Laos, Istanbul, and Malta. So it was a nice month-long trip. Thank you all. And I'd like to thank Anita, my daughter, for all of her help in putting this together. was hot everywhere in the 70s and 80s. We were in northern India, so it wasn't quite too bad there. The coldest place we were was Istanbul. It was like 68, 70, but it was pleasant. It wasn't, especially when we were on the Bosphorus, it was a little cooler out on the water. But yeah, it was only a couple places where it seemed really hot. Africa, of course, was hot. It was hot. But most of the time we're by the water, so that helps too.
Terry, how much luggage did the average traveler?
The average traveler had about 4 big suitcases plus carry-on. I had one medium-sized suitcase plus a carry-on. They did laundry service every place we went. You know, if you had 3 days there, it was easy to get your laundry done. You just packed it up that morning and they would have it there by the next night at the latest, you know, but usually that same night if you got it in early enough. So you didn't really need. I took a lot of black and different tops, so yeah, you get along pretty good.
Outfits that you wear, you got travelers, they supply you,
I'm sorry.
Is it like the sari and
The sari they gave us, this one is all my clothes except they gave me the scarf. So I just decided, okay, I'll dress modestly when I'm going to the mosque, so that's why I put this on. I was the star of the show actually that day because they thought I looked like a Muslim, so yeah. Linda?
Did you take all the photography? It's just-
Some of these pictures are, probably many of them are Dave's. I don't know which ones are his or which one are mine. But yeah, mine were all taken with the cell phone. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And
Number 15, I think.
the colors are just wonderful. And the blue sky, you have blue sky every day.
Oh, we had beautiful weather, yeah. We only had rain in Cambodia. It was the only time we ran into rain, and it didn't interfere with anything we were going to do, so, yeah. Steve?
Did Dave take pictures and then distribute them to everyone?
He did, yeah. We could get some of them on the plane. We would download them onto our phone from his laptop. And, or not laptop, he had a iPad. From his iPad, he'd have pictures on, we could download them. And then, probably a month or 2 later, they came in from him, all that he was going to share with us, so.
And this is the photographer that runs and it's part of the trip.
He's part of the trip, he's part of the staff. He had 2 jobs, 2 big jobs. He was the photographer and he was also the luggage manager. So he had 2 big jobs. And but everybody helps everybody else out, you know, those 4 staff members that travel with you, they all do various jobs besides their own, it seemed like. Except Dave, he pretty much had his hands full with what he was doing, but other people would pass out programs or whatever. They all helped.
Tell us about the other passengers.
The other passengers, they varied in ages, probably from 30 to, I was the oldest, of course, but 30 to 87. So,
Where are they from?
oh, from all over. One couple was from Hawaii. He runs a restaurant out there. Actually, was quite disabled. He has some sort of a problem with his legs, but he was very strong in his upper body, and he managed to move around with those crutches. He never needed help, but his wife carried all of his packages for him. Most of them, I think, were retired. Some of them were working while they were there. They worked remotely, online. I know the hotel I had in I think it was Laos. It was another one of those luxurious ones, and I had a port there where you could do business right there at the table. The other gal and her husband had just a small little room, and I said, well, you can come and use mine, you know. And she thought about it, but she never did, because it was all set up. She could. It was all in the living room. I still have my whole bedroom area. But yeah, everybody was pretty compatible. There were a couple really wealthy people. Well, they let us know that they were wealthy anyhow. And so they weren't snobbish, but they were wealthy. Sue?
So this was a half of the trip we saw?
Yes, that's half of it, yeah.
And you did another month like this?
No, this was a half a month of the trip. We were moving. Yeah, we were moving. I get some water. You're welcome to come up and look at menus, itineraries, little gifts. I never told you, but every time we came back to the plane on our food tray, there was always a little gift from where we just came from, you know. So that was a nice little souvenir to have too from every place you've been. They treat you very royally, I tell you that. We think we're treated nice here. We were treated nicer there. Okay, well, thank you again very much.